and welcome to English Lessons with Inlingua Vancouver. My name is Linda and today I'm going to talk about what a stative verb is. In the previous lesson, I mentioned the word verbs that describe an action or a state. So I'm just going to elaborate more on what the state means. So a stative verb in English grammar means that the verb describes a state rather than an action. So it could be describing a verb that describes a state or a condition. With stative verbs, that is really different from an action verb is that you cannot use it in the present continuous form. So in English grammar, a stative verb means that the verb describes a state or a condition rather than an action. And always remember, with these stative verbs, you cannot use it in the present continuous form. With most action verbs, you can put it in the present continuous form by adding the ing to the main verb. So how do you know which verbs are stative verbs? I use this system of categorizing the verbs or the stative verbs in 4 categories. So verbs that show thought, which is verbs like believe, doubt, know, understand. Verbs that show possession, have, own, want, or contain. Verbs that show senses like hear, see, smell, taste. Verbs that show emotion, love, hate, want, need. There's also like. However, as you know, that there are many exceptions in English grammar. So have and taste, these two are an exception in English grammar. You can put an ing on to the main verb. However, it depends on the meaning and the context in the sentence. So I said that in English grammar, a stative verb means that the verb describes a state rather than an action. And the state can be a condition, but there are exceptions. So just remember that there are some verbs that can be either an action or a stative depending on their meaning and context in the sentence. So just remember to keep these categories in mind so you can figure out which ones are action verbs and which ones are stative verbs. And always remember, with most, there are exceptions, you cannot use stative verbs in the present continuous form, which means you cannot put ing onto the end of the verb. Here are some examples that I put where there is the exception. So I think English grammar is difficult. I am thinking about buying a new car. I said that for here, for thought, or for think, you cannot use it in the ing form. However, in these 2 situations, here, the second situation, I'm thinking about buying a new car, you can use think with an ing. This one is your thought, so it's my opinion. You cannot put ing. However, here, I am thinking about buying a new car is you're considering, which is different. So I have 2 examples here, have and taste, which are also exceptions. So I hope that you watch this video and then you can leave maybe 2 sentences with different meanings. One using the stative verb in one of these categories, and another using these verbs with an ing. And you can leave them in the comment box below, and just remember that there are 2 different kinds of verbs. You know the action verb, but there's also these verbs called stative verbs, which describes a state or a condition rather than an action. So I hope that helps. Check back for another video that I will be doing, which will talk about present continuous. Thanks for watching and make sure to subscribe to the page.